Sunday at 12:30 on 13 ABC.
Welcome back. We have the honor this morning of spending time with Mayor Mike Bell, who's talking about some of the good things that have gone on in his administration and have actually responded to some of the negative comments that we've heard as well. We were talking about the Marina District as we went to break. Would you call your approach to economic development more of a thinking out of the box?
Oh, it's absolutely. It's way past where people can grasp it here. See, what I know is that we're in a global economy. Okay, and people are saying, well, why don't you just find people in Toledo invest in these things? Well, if they were here, they would have done it already. Well, why don't you go somewhere in the United States and bring people here? I've gone to Texas, I've gone up to Minnesota, I've gone some other places. We're talking to people, but nobody's moving because the whole United States is in the same pickle. So in order to be able to try to bring in some new money, absolutely new money to Toledo, new money to the state of Ohio, new money to the United States, I'm reaching out to countries that have the finances to be able to invest inside the United States. The whole idea is to be able to take companies that are making products that are sending them over here, have them build their companies over here, and then be able to put U.S. workers to work building their products and selling it to U.S. people, which makes total sense. It doesn't make a difference. We already do that with Honda in Marysville. They make the Hondas there, and they ship them all throughout the United States, okay? But it's owned by a Japanese company.
Right.
Okay, so it's the same concept.
So when there are newspaper articles like the gangs, the gang series, and you call the Blade irresponsible in that approach, does that hurt what you're trying to do? How are you really?
Absolutely. How do you realize that everybody that wakes up in the morning, and we were talking about it before the show, they get onto the websites and they start looking at these things from a distance. In China, they're 12 hours ahead of us, so they're already looking at the stuff before you wake up and I wake up, okay? And so if you're trying to recruit people to your city, then it doesn't make a difference if it's China or Chicago if you're trying to recruit them there. If they're going to be reading these things, and you know that there are other cities that are equally situated like us that have the same type of problems that we have, okay, but they're not airing it, okay? Then if I'm looking at the 4 or 5 cities and I'm saying, oh, well, Toledo, they got that gang.
That's not the one I'm going to pick because they've got those gang issues.
When the other ones also have the same problem.
You know, I was in a meeting with Mr. Murray from the Blade, and we were talking about this whole gang series. And his response to that very same argument was, people have a right to know. People have a right to know what's going on with these gangs, and the mayor should not be suppressing that information.
Well, here is the issue.
Specifically as it went to the gang maps.
Oh, yeah, and with the gang maps, here's what happened. When that map went out that they created, the shootings in the city of Toledo for the next week went up 300%. It was a public safety issue that we were attempting to protect, okay? Because what happens is the gang members look and say, well, that's not quite right. That's my territory. And they start going out and reclaiming territories, okay? Which, you know, if you have nothing out there, then they don't do that, okay? Which keeps the neighborhood safe and keeps the people safe. So for us, it was a public safety issue. It still is a public safety issue. It went up 300% in 1 week.
So the attention only serves to escalate the issue from your perspective.
That was my point. We're not trying to hold information that we think is valid to the citizens. I have no reason to do that, okay? I'm a public safety person. I was a fire chief for 17 years. I think I have a pretty good understanding of what we need to do to protect our public. This was information that we knew was going to cause some issues, okay? And the other side of it, on top of that, at the same period of time that information is going out, the part that didn't get out was that our crime rate in the city of Toledo year to date April to April had dropped 24%, okay? Nobody's talking about that. So the crime rate had dropped, but we're talking about the gangs. So now we get it pumped back up again, okay? And then we said, okay, now Mayor, what are you going to do to fix that?
Well, you know, this is one of those issues, though, and I have always said on this show that I'm always sort of baffled by the way things work downtown. I know we've got a strong mayor form of government. I'm a little confused sometimes about the way city council and you intervene. I found just a little bit of humor I want to share with you. Can we Wait, put that up. I found this in the Blade. I thought this was really pretty funny. There's a guy who's obviously a therapist sitting on the couch, and the wife is saying he won't communicate me, and the husband is saying, tell her that's just not true. And the husband looks a little bit like you, Mayor.
It looks like somebody from ZZ Top.
That too.
Yeah, my beard is not that long.
Your beard is not quite that long.
I have a sense of humor.
But obviously, it was poking fun at you and City Council.
But here's the thing.
Why is that relationship so contentious, or at least it appears contentious?
I think that sometimes it's designed to look more contentious than what it is. It's typically, if I catch some of these people afterwards, we're fine. You know, we talk. In fact, we were meeting with the president of council on a weekly basis. Somebody from my office is normally sitting there and we're talking about the issues. And sometimes, but when it gets to prime time, where there's cameras involved, then things go a little bit off the edge there, and it's always interesting to watch because you never know where it's going to come from. And it's amazing when the cameras aren't around that it
sort of goes away.
It sort of mellows out.
So this may be a bit of a naive question, but is the focus on serving the public that elected officials are sworn to uphold, is that lost for media attention?
I think sometimes it is. Okay, I think that for me, and I am an elected official. I'm not a politician. That's why I ran as an independent. It's about this. For me, it's about the citizen. But some of this stuff gets twisted and turned and made to look something that it isn't, and then people buy into it because they only get half the story. And the citizen in the long run loses on something like that.
Right.
You know, there is no benefit for anybody that's sitting in a position of mayor to do anything except do the right thing, because you're not getting any bonuses, you're not getting anything else. So then what would be your reason, unless you're trying to promote yourself personally? There's nothing else in it for you. So doing the right thing, I think, is the most important portion of that. And that's why I went to that lifesaver. Having a lifesaver life vest for people who don't have life vests, that's what we need to be doing as governmental as officials.
Let me ask you this, just want your opinion. You know, you're never shy about saying what you think, so I hope that you don't choose to make this one of the opportunities where you get shy. But the field is, all right, the field of folks who are interested in running for your job is increasing by the minute. I think there are 6 of you out there at this particular point. Who do you think is the strongest of your contenders, and why?
I think that probably the strongest is Anita and maybe Joe, just from the standpoint that you know, they're going to ride the SB5 wave and you know. Can
we talk about that just for 1 second?
Sure.
The SB5. There were a lot of folks out there who were saying, well, you know, what is he thinking? What were you thinking?
What I was thinking is that more than half of SB5 was what I had done at exigent circumstances the first year as a mayor. So if I go back and say, I'm not in agreement with that, I already did it. So I become a hypocrite. And that's what I'm saying about
telling the truth. But did you have to be a poster boy for it?
I had done it. Why? If you have done something and you're, for us, we had a $48 million deficit. We are balanced today. If we hadn't done something, we couldn't do it the same old way. And so, seeing that I had done something, I was the first person to never do exigent circumstances. Right. So I did something to save our city. It's not, I don't think it's some sort of miracle that things are happening around us, but it's not happening here because we took the hard steps. And yes, that put me out on the front of something that made some people mad, but the bottom line was to fix it for them, because here's the other part. The citizens told me, look, Mayor Bell, do not raise our taxes. Well, if you're telling me not to raise your taxes, there's only one group of people that I can come at, because you are the boss. The citizen is the boss. When they say don't raise the taxes, they're the boss. So all I can do is redirect to the group that I have to redirect to be able to make sure that we lean our budget out. There was no other way around it.
And it's costing you, at least according to conversation on the street, it's going to cost you quite a bit of union support.
Well, but here's the thing. I saved union jobs. I didn't lay anybody off. Okay, we had some minor changes in when we went to the refuse portion, where that was already predetermined. We were going to go into this automatic system, but outside that, I didn't lay anybody off. So I actually saved their jobs. Okay, in Detroit, if they had done the same thing we're doing, they wouldn't be laying police officers off, firefighters, and other people. Okay, so it worked. Okay, so you can't get, I guess you can be mad about the method, but it worked to save our city.
And you think that Anita Lopez and Mr. McNamara are going to use this as their bully pulpit?
I would think that that would probably be what they would use, okay? But here's the part that nobody's been able to tell me. Okay, so what would you have done? Don't tell me what you wouldn't have done. Tell me what you would have done, because we were in a critical position at that particular time. So don't come in here rolling on, I wouldn't have done this, I wouldn't have, well, fine. Tell me what you would have done to balance the budget to where we would be stable today as the city of Toledo as we are right now.
You know what, you have got to come back. We are out of time, and this is always a problem when I talk to you. There's never enough time, but at least stay with me for the next 30 seconds.
Okay.
We got to run away. We will be right back. Please stay with us.